Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Aaron, and you're watching another live stream here on YouTube. I have a lot that I want to share with you, a lot of charts, but before we get there, make sure to like the video, make sure to leave a comment, especially if you have a chart request. Let me also know, adjust volume, I always forget that. The volume is too loud and it's super duper annoying, like the music. Let me know and I can turn it down because it annoys me. I can't think so well. I'm not one of those people that can listen to music and work. It just doesn't click for me at all. We're going to be talking about a lot of different charts today and some important things to keep in mind. Now, truth be told, a lot of you probably didn't like the fact that I was saying 55K is next, or 56K. It might be more like 56K. Especially when we are up here and everyone is feeling all happy and bullish and everyone is like, oh yay, nothing can hurt us. We're up here at the very top. We're gonna be totally fine. We're gonna go to $100,000 next. And we got a little bit of a bull trap right there, and then so I want to talk about why I called that, why it was right. But again, I also am happy to look at charts that you have in mind. I've been keeping track of a lot of different charts, and I'm going to be focusing on a lot of meme coins over here. Although Sui should be more like that. But we need to talk about Bitcoin first for lots of really important reasons. The main reason is that Bitcoin determines the strength or the health of the market. It's the barometer of health for the crypto market. And the TBO indicator, this big cloud thing, is showing us many things that for most people that are watching this, you have no idea. So let me just work backward to get to the point to show you how I came to the idea that we're going to probably be pulling back from here. Okay, so we're going to start with a naked chart. We're going to look at this bull flag idea, and I've talked about this in many live streams in the past and also in the Better Traders Club. The main idea is that we have resistance and we have support. We saw the price coming up on resistance again. Now, while there are so many instances of, oh, actually, no, we can't count that right there. Breaks, pierces, all that fun stuff. It was yet again another pierce, but no luck. I do, however, believe that we are going to break out of this range. We are going to break above it. And when we do, yes, this target is realistic way up there at $126,000. It's not going to happen right away, but I think it's completely feasible. But only when we actually push above. So one of the main reasons why I was looking at this with some hesitancy, why I wasn't getting super excited, was actually before it even happened. Right in here, whenever you see Bitcoin's price action get really tight like this, and this price range right here is gross. It's like several days, 4 days of 2% closes. It's really bad. When we see Bitcoin getting so tight and constricted like that, there we go. That's a sign of weakness. When we see the price stalling, unfortunately, right over the weekend, it's also a really bad sign too. Mainly because we don't want to see Bitcoin stalling on the weekend. We want to see it pushing up here at the beginning of the week. Because typically when the weekend happens, we get a pullback. Look at this. Saturday, Sunday, gong. So we got Saturday, Sunday, gong. Same exact thing. Now when we look at RSI, we can see some similarities in here too. The main thing I was looking at in terms of RSI is that while it was looking extremely strong, we were overdue, to be honest. So we're overbought, which is above the red line of 70 for 5 days in a row, which is amazing for BTC. Then it gets a reset. Then we get another streak right there. We had almost 10 days. It was really more like 9 days being overbought. And if we're overbought, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Exhibit A. If we're overbought and the price is literally doing nothing, that's a weird sign. And volume is non-existent. That's a really weird, bad weird sign. Okay, it's not a sign of strength at all for the chart. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, this is Bitstamp, so okay, that's normal. Bitstamp is a junky exchange. Okay, let's go to the index. It doesn't make a difference, honestly. There's no real volume to speak of that's going like, wow, this is incredible. This is over and beyond our expectations and what we're used to seeing here according to the TBD basic quote currency inverter, which is a free volume converter. It automatically converts the volume of the base currency into the quote currency. So that way we know how much Tether is being traded or how much USD is being traded on the chart, right? Until we see these columns, these gray columns, vastly overwhelming like this, the moving average like this, we're not going to see a change at all in the price, for better or for worse. I mean, we could also see an increase in this and things are bearish. It just means that volume's increasing, but you can see it really, really plainly. Volume's just been dying down. It's not growing. So again, that's another thing I'm looking at going, well, we're not seeing volume increasing. We're not seeing anything really good happening. So here we are. We're probably going to top out. That's why I share those posts. And that's why I got a couple people saying, you're an idiot. Why would the price of Bitcoin ever go down to 56K? We're going to $100,000. And here we are. Now let's put the TBO back in. The role of the TBO indicator is to show us the strength of the trend and when the trend might be changing. So when we know that the trend might be changing, that is a good signal for us to be extremely cautious and careful. Now, when we see signs like this, when it goes gray, that's a good sign. But to be honest, we've seen this gray before. Now, what we really want to see for us to be extremely bullish is like back here in 2023. We want to see the price. Actually, let me just type it out so it's just super easy for you. We want to see price is going to be greater than the cloud. We want to see all four lines, or we'll see the cloud pointing up. All four lines are angling or pointing up, and we want to see a strong slow line. This is what we want to see for things to be extremely bullish, and it's not going to happen right away. It's not. Now, look at this. We saw red for a while. We saw lots of back and forth, really similar to what we are doing right now. And we see this kind of stuff. We're getting a transition from red to green. It looks kind of like, but as soon as we get the price above the cloud, that's the first part. And the cloud starts to all point up. And I mean all these lines right here. When all four of these lines, the fast, medium, slow, and then the slow line, when they start to angle up, that's what we want to see. And then when we see, oh, where did my notes go? Now I just lost it. There we go. And then the strong slow line is pointing up. When I say it's a strong slow line, I mean that this line on the bottom is just going, or rather it's going this way. When we see that shape, then we know we're in for a really nice bull run. Now let's go to where we are on the chart. It's flat, it's compressed, it looks very indecisive, it's super compressed, which is actually to our benefit because at least it's not strong bearish like we see it like right here. This is super strong bearish, but right now we're seeing some signs of hope because there's green going up. We see an open long, it's looking kind of grayish green. It looks kind of good, but until the price moves and stays above the cloud and all four lines, which got rejected right there on this pullback, are going up and the slow line is moving up, no cigar. Like it's not going to be that amazing. So looking at the current price, the unfortunate truth is that we were looking okay-ish for a while, even though we had all these wicks below the cloud right there, which means like we're kind of okay. As soon as we close below the cloud, guess what? That is considered to be strong bearish. So this leads me to believe that we're heading lower. How much lower? Well, I have to go to the right ticker to get my drawings. There we go. So we have our bull flag, we have our resistance. It was respected, unfortunately, but that's how things go. Price fell down into the cloud, couldn't close above the cloud. Look at that. That's like perfect. And then coming below the cloud, and now it's strong bearish. So where are we headed next? Well, we had this short-term level of support. Now notice how, let me remove the TBO just so you can see this. See how vertical this line is? The more vertical a line is in terms of support or resistance, the faster it's going to be broken and the weaker it is. The more horizontal it is, the stronger and longer it will take to break that level, okay? So we saw this level pierced right here on the 30th, which is when I posted that as well. I kind of was just pushing it out and be like, hey, ding, 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 things aren't looking good, guys, watch out. So here we are. Now, I think that this is a more likely move for the price of BTC moving forward. Now, using that same level right here, we can draw from our lower wick to this wick. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is Bitstamp, it's a low volume exchange. No, this is August 5th. This is when we had that Nikkei crash. The Japanese equivalent of the S&P, it crashed on August 5th, and it also caused lots of markets to crash momentarily. And this provided a support level. And then we drew our low to the next low, and that's given us this support line right here. Now, I am expecting the price of Bitcoin to drop today, especially if it crosses below support right here, this low of 59,860. If we see BTC close below that today, then we are definitely heading down to 56K. Now, it might not be exact 56, it might be 55,930, it might be 56.5, it might take some time. I'm just kind of guesstimating here, but I'm hoping, to be honest, that it happens a lot faster than we're expecting, because the faster that these moves happen, the quicker we can just get over with it. It's like a band-aid. Well, let's just call it the band-aid principle. You don't want to just sit there, especially if you have hairy arms like I do. All of you hairy arms people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you have a band-aid right there, it hurts. When you're ripping it slowly and you're like trying not to hurt so much, just take it off. Just rip that thing off. That's what we need. We need a rip the band-aid moment for Bitcoin for it to just plunge and drop down to 56K. Another thing that will happen when that does happen is that RSI has not had a full reset below 25 since the 6th of September. Now notice what happened back here on that same August 5th. That was that big crash. RSI dropped down to 12.97 on the daily time frame. That's a major drop. We had another drop as well on the 6th of September. And funny enough, well, not the 5th of October, we didn't have a drop, but it's kind of similar where it's like the beginning of each month, we have this big sell-off, which is really interesting. We had a small reset right there. We really need another reset. Now, if I'm wrong, which is totally fine, I'm happy to be wrong. If we don't see a drop down to 25, because look, we're seeing RSI down here on the 24th of June at 10. August 5th, 12.97. September 6th, 24. Maybe this is the low. So before I go all bearish on you and you're like, okay, wait, your thumbnail and your title is super misleading, dude. Don't do that to me. You're killing me. Well, let's say that this is actually going to be our support level right here. And the price is going to hold. It wicks below the cloud, sure. So the next possible move for BTC is to go up here and to test resistance again. Now notice it tried to and it failed. So in my mind, it makes way more sense to see Bitcoin struggle first and stop at about 63,945 or 64K, which would be nice to see a little bit of green. But it would be strange for it to shoot up to 64K, 5% all of a sudden. Usually when we see a big red candle, we take a breather, then there's a little bit of a move. Red candles, breather, a little bit of a move. We'll see. The cloud is generally trending kind of up sideways, but still I just don't think I think it's more likely for us, let me say it more grammatically correct, I think it's more likely to see Bitcoin drop down to 56K than to push straight back up to 65. But whether it drops to 56K or up to 65K, the end goal of this setup is the same. And the end goal is pushing up and out of this bull flag to higher highs. When does it happen? I don't know. I have no idea when it happens. But this is the expectation that I have for many, 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 many reasons, okay? Now, before I keep going, I want to remind you, I need to check over here on YouTube. Okay, it's nice to see more of you joining us. The likes got to be up. I need you to let me know what charts you want to look at. I mean, these are the charts that I'm planning on talking about over here. But I'm also open because I like knowing what you all are looking at too. It's really helpful for me also to get a gauge of the market. So don't forget to hit the like button. and share this with a friend, especially someone who's just getting into crypto. I try to keep things very intro level friendly without going too crazy, although correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay. So I want to go on to talk about Bitcoin dominance and others dominance because there's a lot of signals flashing here. Now, I did talk about this last time. I talk about it a lot because it's important to keep an eye on these metrics, mainly because they dictate the strength of the market. Now, one thing I don't have up here is actually my stablecoin dominance chart, which is combined stablecoin dominance. Let me put it over here into YouTube. We'll do that one first because I think it's important. Okay, first things first. Seeing lots of similarities with the price of stablecoin dominance. It's not the price, it's a percentage. But we're seeing a lot of similarities right now. Right now we're looking at a TBO open long, which is that green triangle, and it's in progress. It's not printed yet, and it won't be printed until the daily candle closes. So we still have 22 hours left. But having this right here on the chart is a very strong coincidence, especially that this is like almost the same. Look at this. Price gets overextended, comes down, TBO, close long, comes up to test. We get an open short, comes up to test again, pushes up, and then we get an open long. Look at now over here, September. Close longs, open short, testing, pushing up higher, comes back down, and then we get, okay, it just disappeared. We'll see. So we're waiting on this to print. There it is. So this will, I'm really glad this is happening actually right now, because some people have asked in the past, wait, so does the TBO do repainting? No. Repainting happens for indicators after candles have closed. So like if you're looking at something like average true range, those values in the past that have already finished printing for candles, they'll change. Whereas the TBO won't change. Once this is printed, once this candle is done on this next day, boom, it's done. It's finished, okay? Now, if we see this candle close today with an open long, I mean, that's gonna mean a big increase for one, which means that BTC would be dumping, which would lead us to believe that we're gonna see 56K. But everything is still looking fairly bullish over here, which we don't wanna really admit or see. But stablecoin dominance does look strong, okay? Now, one thing that we can say that's good is that RSI is nowhere near overbought levels. And when we see overbought levels, that's obviously a sign of strength. Usually people look at overbought levels as, okay, sell this level. Not necessarily, it just means that there's so much strength in the chart. When we look at the weekly time frame, we're not really seeing anything terrible here, although we did break support, but we're right back above it. So we're still moderately neutral, and we're seeing an open long on the weekly time frame. The price is inside, quote unquote price is inside the cloud, but we have to be really careful here because this could also push up a lot higher. If it does, if on the weekly time frame stablecoin dominance pushes above the cloud, game over. Things are going to change real fast. I don't want that to happen. I'm just telling you what will happen. We don't want to see this at all. Okay, so let's stop talking about that and go over to Bitcoin dominance. Now, one thing that's been really interesting is that Bitcoin dominance is starting to make some similar moves like it did in the past, specifically at the beginning of September, which is weird. We're seeing a lot of these similar moves here. We have a gap. The price is inside the cloud again, which is a sign of bearish consolidation to come. This is actually good for BTC pairs. We want to eventually see Bitcoin dominance fall on the daily time frame, way down here to like 56. Ideally over here on the weekly time frame, we want to see it close at 56.62 or lower. We want to see it inside the cloud. But look at the cloud, crazy strong. Now, when we look at other metrics like RSI, we can clearly see that strength has been slowly getting zapped out of this. It's losing steam, even though it's very bullish. So this is why I keep talking about it and I keep putting this in front of your face, because it's important to keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance, because as long as Bitcoin dominance is strong, we don't want to touch BTC paired alts. But if we can see signs of cracks in the strength of Bitcoin dominance, then we can use our Bitcoin to buy alts to inflate our BTC stack, because that's what we want to do long term. As much as we like others, which leads us to the next thing, others dominance is a clear representation of what the market cares about the most, is all these other altcoins. Because these are the coins you're going to make a lot of money with quickly. But the long-term play is BTC. I don't care if you're a meme coin enthusiast, those coins won't be around. They won't be around in 5 years. They won't. So I'm looking at the long game, and I'm looking at BTC, okay? Now, one thing that others did not do, even though it was above the cloud for a couple of days, a little bit, it fell back inside. We need to see others dominance close above the daily and push up higher. Until we see that happen, we're not going to see anything good from this chart just yet. We also have RSI as neutral on the daily, which means that we can go either way. But if we know that we got signs here of weakness, stablecoin dominance going up, Bitcoin dominance going down, there's fear in the market a little bit. We might see a little bit of a rally on alts today, but be extremely careful because it's not worth the quick little gains. I don't think we're at that point in the market yet, and we won't be at that point in the market yet, as the title of this video alludes to, until we break above resistance. Because when Bitcoin breaks above this, stablecoin dominance will drop. Bitcoin dominance will increase, but others dominance will increase as well. And these will all follow to a ridiculous degree. Okay, I just want to make those concepts really clear before I go on. All right, I'm going to buzz through these pretty quickly because I just want to make this as simple as possible. So the TBO indicator is great because it shows us the strength of the trend, when the trend might change. It also shows us breakouts, but it also automatically plots support and resistance levels. Those red dots right there, that's resistance. These green dots, these are support levels. So the way that we can trade this is we can look on the chart, and let me just hide everything on here. No, I need to get this. There we go. Just make this a nice clean chart like this. If we zoom out just to test this theory, are these lines worth it? Do they actually work here on Solana? Well, these lows didn't hit it, this level right here. This one sure did on August 5th when we had that market crash, and it hit this level too, which was a great support bounce trade. Guess what? When we dropped down here early September, it fell right here to support and historical support as well, which was a great trade, a 30% move. We have a similar level right here. I'll have to go back to all this stuff at 127.66-ish. So we're looking at just above support right here. If Bitcoin's going to have a significant drop because of things that I just shared, then we can look at this level about 8%, 8.5% down as a nice entry for a bounce and make a nice little trade. That's the concept that I'm trying to share here. So I'm seeing that with Solana, for SUI, I'm seeing a lot of signs that a lot of you don't want to admit, but we're seeing RSI lose a lot of ground, looking really weak ever since the 22nd of September. So if we look here at the chart, 22nd of September, it was still moving up a lot. But we can have a difference of opinion with price and RSI. Or wait, it'd be like, I can't do it. It's mirrored. Looking at myself mirrored is so confusing. But we can have the price moving up and RSI moving down. That's actually a hidden bearish divergence signal, which is why we're getting all these TBT divergence signals flashing on the daily time frame. So all of you permabulls on SUI, just be extremely careful. While we could still see SUI take off, just be careful. Be really careful with this chart because it is at the previous all-time high. It's basically right up there right now, okay? But if you want to catch an entry on this chart, because the chart has been so bullish, the logical place to do that would be the TBO fast line or zooming out to find, look at that, historical TBO support or resistance lines. So what happened? Why did I just make that weird sound? We have a TBO resistance line right there, and it plots it. It shows us right up here, 2.1472. Where did the price wick? Over here on the 7th of October, 2.168. And again, 2.134, and now it's struggling. Why? Because the longer these lines are, the stronger they are. Okay, so we can still use the TBO fast line for a springboard bounce, which I've talked about in some videos before. But just be careful with Sui. I wanted to follow up on that. Now we're getting into some meme coins. We can also use different levels of the, let me get rid of that, of the TBO to find similar moves, right? So we have a really strong trend in play with Dog with Hat. However, we have TBT bearish divergence closing on yesterday's candle, but look what's happening. We're seeing the price bounce, move up, and bounce off the fast line and shoot up higher. So we could be looking at an entry here at the fast line and doing a repeat move. We could also zip down just a little bit like this, looking at this level of 2.13 or 2.07, just to catch the panic if it happens. Maybe that might be a DCA level, but this is a really nice chart. It's doing well. Unfortunately, it's a little bit exhausted, and it's just gotten started. It's not even up that much, to be honest. It's crazy. Going over here to Pepe. We have TBO support right here, a nice long line of TBO support at, what is this level? It's too many zeros, 7173. So looking at just above that level, that's a massive drop for Pepe of 21%. I understand, but that's the name of the game, is we want to capitalize on any panic that happens. So if Bitcoin loses this level and drops to 56K, that's only a minor move. Dropping to 56K would be a move of 7%, but there's a multiple factor effect that happens in crypto. So a 7% move for Bitcoin will be like 14% for Pepe, or it could be 21. It could be 2 to 3 times greater than whatever happens over here. For Shiba Inu coin, we have TBO support way down here. Let's measure this out. That's 11%. This would be 21%. Similar, it could be down there. One other thing that I like to do as well with the TBO is I like to aim for this slow line, especially when the chart is looking nice. Now we're looking at a bounce happening right here off the TBO fast line. So we could see a bounce up for just a quick little 10%. But if we're expecting a 7% move to come for BTC, and we're expecting this to move in a multiple factor of 2 to 3 times, then we're looking at 14% to 21%. So just be careful. And lastly, Popcat has been the strongest. And what do we got right here? It moved above its high back in July. It's a nice rhyme. Anytime is a nice time for a rhyme. So we got at 96 cents, give or take. So we can use that as a target. Now let's measure it out. If we get a 7% pullback for BTC, then that's going to be 14%-ish for Popcat, which would be at about $1, which would be right back into the TBO cloud on the fast line. So yeah, we could get a little bit more aggressive, and maybe we would just DCA down to this range just in case. Still a strong chart. I'm not saying anything is necessarily bad about this chart, but we just want to be taking a more cautious stance, because if BTC is going to drop, it's going to drop to a level like 56K, then we want to be prepared to buy the dip on a lot of charts, especially with the idea that we could see a major break to, and what I believe is going to be much higher highs. It's just going to take some time for that to happen. Okay. Now I got, looking at the chat, I got one chart that I can check out. That's fine. That actually works out well because I don't want to spend too much time on here. Let's go to render on Coinbase, and we'll call it a day with this chart. Awesome. So render is above our first fan line of our overhead resistance level. It actually wicked right to it right there on the 3rd of October. Because the price is below the cloud like this is technically strong bearish. I wouldn't be surprised to see RSI at about 30 let's see where we are. Yeah, 36.05. Now, the ideal situation, again, thinking about this concept of the multiple factor effect, if Bitcoin falls 7%, we should expect render to fall 2 times that, which would be a nice drop to TBO support, which is right around $4.30. That would actually be a really nice buy, mainly because of how much this chart sprung up. Now, if we don't see that happen, this is actually in a good area because we've seen this pattern play out a couple of times now for render. It's strong bearish, pushes up into the cloud, back down. Strong bearish, pushes up inside the cloud, strong bearish. Pushes up inside the cloud, strong bearish. Pushes up inside the cloud. So levels of resistance that you should be paying attention to is just below TBO resistance right here. So at about 630 and just below TBO resistance at about 670 or so. So while we could see a bounce from here, just understand that we could also see a drop to the downside. So just be cautious. Again, DCA is the best approach in my opinion. I think that's the smartest thing to do because we don't want to be overly confident in anything until Bitcoin breaks this major level. Then we can start going crazy with the leverage, with position sizing and things like that. But right now, we should be taking a more cautious and careful approach to everything that we're doing. Now, to be honest, I've been sharing stuff like this already. Like here's a summary that I shared just today in the Better Traders Club. And I share market analysis, there's trade setups, there's signals, there's indicators like the TBO that's included, and all that stuff is available through the Better Traders website. So the links for all this stuff is down below. We have 4 different tiers for 4 different skill levels or levels of your financial capacity, but anyone can afford $1 a month. So I highly recommend at least joining the starter tier to get into the club. You get a coupon code for our courses. You get lots of stuff. You get the market analysis, you get signals, you get private videos, all that fun stuff just for $1 a month. It's a really good deal. Okay. So thanks again for hanging out with me. And until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.